Hello, welcome to my talk and draw. I really appreciate y'all for being here. Um, I just do this for the love of art and the love of God. I'm not asking for super chats or anything, maybe just a like, whatever, if you can hang in with me a little bit. This won't be a very long video this time, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm working on this guy and these little guys, and I'm just put them in a composition here. And I'm going to let this all kind of happen little by little. So these are going to be hopefully very short. But I had a really interesting experience, and that is I was reading through the Bible again, a 1 year Bible, just kind of going through and listening to it rather than actually reading it. Sometimes I just want to sit and have my coffee and eat my breakfast and um, hear the passages of the Bible. And it's really great because 1 year Bible will give you a passage from the Old Testament, a passage from the New Testament, and like Psalms or a poem, or one of the prophets. So it goes through the whole Bible, but in chunks. So you're not just like starting at the beginning and just plowing through it. I know it can be hard. And I welcome anyone who's not a Christian or who maybe reads the Bible as a, I don't know, historical uh, literature, wisdom literature, whatever. But I found this very interesting because usually when you read the Bible, you're thinking about the ancient Hebrews, you're thinking about Jerusalem, you're thinking about temples, the parting of the Red Sea and Noah. But I found a little thing here, Bezalel the Craftsman. So Bezalel was in the book of Exodus, and he is the chief artisan of Israel. And he was given some very special tasks, and that was to actually make the ark. This is pretty badass, to make the Ark of the Covenant, the menorahs, lampstands, the altar of incense, and the priestly garments, which had inlaid jewels. He worked with a lot of gold and wood and bronze. That's some heavy duty skills. I don't know if you've ever watched, like, some people still do blacksmithing, and you watch them form a piece, hammering it away. It's just like this hot yellow piece of metal, and then little by little it kind of becomes something. It's really amazing how throughout the centuries we've learned to work with different materials. So in the book of Exodus, God says, "See, I have chosen Bezalel, son of Uri, and I have filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, with understanding, and with knowledge, with all kinds of skills to make artistic designs for working gold, silver, and bronze," and even the cloth. That had to be woven. And I think so much of what the ancient Israelis had to do, they had to bring in all of their gold jewelry so they could melt it all down to make the items and articles for the temple or the tabernacle at the time, which was a temporary tent of the temple, until they settled and were able to build an actual brick and mortar temple. And I think it's really fascinating because I've always felt this way. Some artists feel this way and some don't. But I feel like there's something about making art that ever since I was a little girl, I absolutely love doing it. I mean, even right now, what I'm doing just makes me feel so good. It makes me feel calm. It makes me feel that I'm in control of my world when there's other things that are it's just going insane. So could you imagine God giving you this power to build the ark, the most famous artifact that doesn't exist as far as we know? What happened to it? We don't. So there's a lot of theories for that. But to be able to work with materials, just know how to do it. Because if you want to do blacksmithing or whatever it is that you work as a craftsman, it takes years of practice, and you have to be an apprentice to somebody else who knows how to do it. So at the time of the ancient Hebrews, did they know about how to make any of this? They were in Egypt all this time, working for the man, and I'm sure they had some level of wealth at the time, because where would they have gotten all the gold jewelry to then fashion the menorah and the ark, the altar of incense? It took a lot of gold, a lot of gold. But I just think it's so gorgeous, just the idea, just thinking about it. So they had to find these materials somewhere. But I think that, was it possible that the slaves when they were the slaves in Egypt, that they also learned a trade? And they may have had to have learned it and not really get paid to do it, to do the same things for the Egyptians. I'm not sure. It might be in there somewhere. But I just think this is amazing. And I even saw a video, I should see if I can find a link to it, an AI video of Bezalel and his craftsmen. And I love the idea. I really do. I love the idea that Yahweh, Elohim, gave them this knowledge. I just like to think that. They're just a new people starting out, almost starting from scratch. I like to think of that way. They had a helper, Oholiab, and together they led the skilled artisans. So clearly they already had the skills, the real top of the top skills, and they had to pull together people who also had some ability to create. Like if you're creating a tabernacle, it's a tent. Well, the tent had to be woven cloth, and God gave very specific colors and types of threads to use in the cloth for the tent. And how did they find the materials to dye I guess it's wool, or maybe they had some kind of flax material. I don't know, it was cotton. Did they grow cotton out there? I don't know. What was the material they used to weave the cloth? I'll have to look for that there too as well, where they were able to find the materials to weave the cloth. The ephod, the priests' robes and clothing and everything. So Bezalel is one of the first people in the Bible specifically described as being filled with the Spirit of God, or artistic skill. This is cited as a biblical example that creativity, craftsmanship, and art can be spirit-empowered callings. So if you feel that way today, if you are a Christian artist, whatever skill level you're at, don't hide your work under a basket, like Jesus said. Don't cover that light. No matter, whether you're self-taught or you're, formally trained. I'm formally trained, but I went to an art school in Philadelphia, so there's a little bit, not as many Christians, because you'd probably get made fun of if you were a Christian, you were openly a Christian. You'd probably, kind of get into a lot of trouble. I don't know, and even I was at that point. That was before I was saved. So this was like a brief little snippet of something that I wanted to share, and hopefully it will give you something like you can think about. You can think about the world, that you can think about ancient society, because really, even non-Christian, like ancient civilizations, were also artisans. And I will say that art is absolutely stunning and beautiful. That Aztec art, absolutely amazing. What the Egyptians did, absolutely. I mean, it's so beautifully done. And so they were craftsmen. I guess this, how you made a living. I think I would think, not for sure that I know for sure, but so it's not just, the skilled craftsman, but in this case, the reason why they were appointed by God in that way to fill out his glory and his vision, not that of a king. Well, the kings are coming. In future books in the Bible, there will be kings. But for now, they didn't do it for a king. They didn't do it even for Moses. He just was like, look, y'all, we need to be doing this and this and this. So they didn't have any of that in their motivation. It was God. God said, do this, and they did it. And here's the material to do it. And if you have to take it off the earrings and the bracelets and the necklaces, that's where you're going to get your material. And so, yeah, that's an interesting thing. I just didn't really know. I never saw anything even in, the New Testament or anywhere else was there mention of artisans. I'm sure they were there. And I found that really interesting, and I just wanted to share that. I will be doing some more work and sharing some other points of view that I have that are about really just my opinion. And again, my name is Claire Johnson, and I'm an artist. I'm working on my own because I enjoy it and because I feel a leading, a pulling for my creativity and to have fun and to enjoy these moments that I have, this time that I have, a time of worship. This may not look very Christian. I will say that they're silly robots, but it's fun. It's fun and I enjoy it. And I think that's what God wants me to do. So if you're not a Christian artist, that's okay. I don't pass judgment. I hope that maybe the words that I say will guide you into a place of faith and better understanding. And again, if you stayed with me till the end, I really appreciate it. If not, that's okay too. Just show the love. Just show the love. I'd really appreciate it. And this is from Drawing Devotion. Thank you.